that this could be the best chance ever. So we'll wait.
Yeah, no, completely. It's always just nice to have an opinion where it matters the most. I know we have to be impartial here, but sometimes what it means to the individual is the important thing as well, because that's what, and we've got a nation rule, and that's okay as we move forward in this Louis Vuitton 37th America's Cup. We are 20 seconds away from getting an update as to whether or not we are going racing in the opening race of the day on day 3 of the Louis Vuitton Cup semi-finals. Boats are falling well. Let's hear from Mel at Race Management and see if we are a go.
This is the race committee. We have passed the wind test and this race is live.
Just the answer we wanted on a Monday here in Barcelona. It'll be the 5th time these two teams meet in the Louis Vuitton Cup semi-finals. We know what the score is. Great Britain, who will come in off starboard. They will come in at 2 minutes. And on port, it will be Alinghi Red Bull Racing in at 2. They'll have to be careful they don't come in early. They've still got 27 seconds, or should I say 15 seconds to come in.
Breeze is very soft in the box. We're just seeing 7 knots. So important just to keep the thing flying.
INEOS Britannia struggling to stay on the foil here, out of screen. They will dig the boat back up on the foil again. They could possibly be a little late here for entry. We'll have to look.
They get the green light, INEOS Britannia, but they come in late. Little moments before the start box routine. Righty-ho, that means it's on.
Very, very marginal conditions here at the moment. Past the wind limit, but still puffy and shifty here for both teams. So absolutely, again, about staying on the foil, Shirley, and doing the simple things well to get off the line.
Yeah, I'm sure we won't see the aggressive moves that we saw yesterday. This is all about keeping your boat at pace, avoiding the other boat's gas. Making sure you're in the start box.
Staying high, potentially going to jive into it. Popping. Staying high here, 55. Feeling 50. They're working up into attack. They're too early. Okay. Mind their gas on the exit. Okay, jiving here. 4 down. 8 for the pin. 1 minute. Okay, going. Let's go.
Big push, stay high.
Pace low.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 now. 8. Yeah. They are slower than us. 7.
Doing here. 50.
Clear the boat.
Slower
than us. Are faster.
British team right on the edge.
We will pass over the cup for us.
They are the Swiss team going to have to roll across the bow of INEOS Britannia here.
Will be a big down. Come down, boys.
INEOS in a really strong position here against the Swiss.
Killing 2 for the pin. Here we go. Killing 1 for the pin. 15. Looking up now. Yeah, 50. Killing 4. 6. Still killing 4. Killing 3. 3. 8. Killing 2. All the way up. 1. 3. 2. 1. Gun.
Opening race of the day is on. D-Day. D-Day.
The umpire, get behind penalty Switzerland, OCS.
For Alinghi Red Bull Racing, and not what they wanted.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing 4 metres over the line. Beautifully controlled by INEOS Britannia.
Big loss required.
Penalty clear.
By the Swiss team there, unforced error. But they are on the foil. And that is key at this point in the race to keep it tight.
Let's jump on to chase 0. Give us your thoughts on that start, Peter Lester.
I thought when Alinghi turned back, they were a little bit early and they were always struggling to kill time. They ended up upwind to the start line and they were on the back foot. INEOS perfect time on distance, starting right on the pin. Alinghi, unforced error, OCS.
Fast mode is good. fly on the single in 10.
Big speed bill needed by Alinghi Rebel Racing. The British there clearly across.
Got good pressure out on the bow bend. Don't push it. Back to forward.
Manoeuvre so costly in this wind pressure.
Mind that cant left.
The exit angles in this lighter air very, very wide compared to just 1 or 2 knots more speed.
22 this way. Little press. Pitch and come here. Okay. Stand by. Yep.
Just hear the cant moving
On
there
down.
as that arm
3, 2,
goes out.
1, mate. Turning. 1, 2, 1. Going forward. Ice 22s. That's ours.
Nice light air attack by INEOS Britannia.
The other boundary. Happy to forward, mate. Yep. Little increase coming in 5. Locking them in. Gonna watch this swell again, Leroy. On too deep on the emergence, or I've just got to take some heel off. I'm still under can target here, so should have it. Just some of those swells, we just catch it. Nothing, it's no biggie. Copy. Nice speed there. Attacking. They don't think they will lay one in right. We can get there, which is currently biased. I'd say we're crossing ahead at the moment. Looks like good games to us. Nice here.
Dylan Fletcher telling us what's
have
going
an
on.
option to hit them. Good speed. Speed here for us. You like to hit them? I don't mind. I think we take one and in. Okay, no problem. All good here.
Comms on board there saying they'll just carry on and
on the boxes, give it some
reduce doing the double manoeuvre and just say we'll let them go, but we'll do one less manoeuvre for ourselves. So big losses in the tacks in these light air conditions, so strategically a good call there by the British.
Give it some.
Think fast on it.
Stand by. Yep. Big gears, turns on. And forward. 2, 1, main. Turning. Very well. 2, 1. And board. Taking main. This way. A slight right hand bias. Yep. Nice build here. Taking main.
Not much wind on the water here at the moment at all. Pressure move now on the Swiss team.
Yeah, we should be good. No attacking now, we should be ahead. 10 seconds to right.
INEOS Britannia coming to the top gate for the first time in this 5th race between these two teams. INEOS Britannia with that 4-0 lead. All the executions today in this light air will have to be spot on. They complete the opening leg of 6 here in Barcelona. Not too far behind, crossing behind. There's Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Recovered from the OCS at the start. 75 behind, and they are now again the chaser. Or is it the hunter?
Potentially the Swiss team sailing into a little more pressure down that side of the course, so
This is the race committee. We are moving the windward gate, shortening the course to 1.15 nautical miles.
So if the ghost boat simulation comes to realise on this first downward leg, it might be just a little bit of a fillip that the Swiss need to get that a lead. Say, okay, we're in the game. We're not going to be the chaser all day. Let's see what happens.
the British there just on the back edge of the puff there, so if they can just get a little bit out of that, they'll still be solid.
Quite light in front, I would say.
Now, the Swiss team sailing through that lighter patch as well.
Stay faster.
Swiss not being able to really get far enough into that pressure on that boundary to use it to their advantage.
Sell it down here, lads. Just speak up. Here we go.
Still a little bit of underlying swell, Shirley. You can see there from the helicopter shots. So a lot of volleying, a lot of moting, quite a bit of steering and trimming to be done, particularly on this port jibe going downwind with the swell angle.
The swell's coming in from that left-hand side. You see it lovely in this aerial shot here, making life easy for the teams.
Happy with that? Yeah, go ahead. Ready, they're going to boundary. 15 to boundary. We're in a real nice let down here. Jibe. Okay. Stand by. Come. Forward down.
Heading into the second half of the first downward leg. Chase 0, Peter Lester. What are you thinking right now?
Well, clean manoeuvres. Just got to keep the boat elevated on the foils. The other thing I'm noticing, especially on INEOS, and they're right on our bow at the moment, is how tucked under the foil is under the boat. Yesterday we see quite wide cant angles, just optimising riding moment. Not the case today. Trading off a bit of riding moment by just keeping the foils quite underneath the boat to try and generate as much lift and power as they can as they head down leg 2.
Nice pressure all the way.
Looks very evenly matched on this downwind.
Yeah, they are a great observation there from Peter on the water about the cant there. So in these lighter conditions, just the rig's not generating the same amount of power, and that power source being further up in the rig, so foils needing to be further underneath the hull for best performance. Don't want to be using the shaft of the foil to stop you going sideways. You want to take it all on the horizontal if you can. Balance the forces.
How much is the range that you can adjust that?
It's quite a bit. The sailing cant anywhere sort of up to 8 to 10 degrees while you're sailing, and a change from upwind to downwind as well. So wider upwind, further under for downwind.
INEOS Britannia, final jibe at the bottom mark, and it feels like it's just gently to get around the mark.
Really well executed there by the British team. That's very, very well done. Marginal conditions. Pressure on the Swiss now to get round cleanly and keep this race alive.
Very soft at the bottom of the track, 7 knots. Danger zone.
+7.
So
Holding here. Nice one.
There's some big holes in the breeze here. So,
Nice pressure bottom left still.
as we've seen previously, British needing to make sure they keep sailing the boat well. Oh, they're right on the edge here. 18 knots, they're going to struggle.
Copy. On the move. Get ahead. Steady to
British there. Switzerland here, Stephen.
well, is this the opening that the Swiss are looking for? INEOS Britannia off the foils, and Alinghi Red Bull Racing just need to execute a nice running, which they have done, but are they going to the same territory?
I agree.
Are we going to get a lead change?
Sailing into pressure too, Shirley. The British sailing away from that new pressure coming down, so British really need to take the boat off here, or we could be seeing a really big lead change here.
6 knots now in Alinghi Red Bull Racing. This is going to be a massive manoeuvre for them. Could this be their moment?
Marginal speed here. All eyes on the Swiss.
Keep pushing, guys. Come on. A big push from the back now. David, big push.
Right on the cusp
no lower
here.
than that, Max. Big push on the back.
The shovel's out.
Okay, 20 knots. Okay.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing staying
Nice pressure
up.
coming back on in front of us.
Big push there.
There's the lead change.
So slowly going up. No problem. Happy to stay fast. They're still in the water.
On to chase zero. Pete Lester, we got a boat race.
Still see more pressure on the left.
And he takes a touchdown right at the bottom. The bottom of the course is light. Looking up towards the top mark, probably a little bit more breeze, but not a lot. Generally, since the start, the wind has dropped. So Alinghi Red Bull Racing have done everything they needed to. They kept the boat on the foils. They pulled off that tack. And now they have an opportunity to stay in the semi-finals. Still got a bit on. This is going to be light and tricky, and it's all about, you know, really good boat handling, boat control to keep the boat on the foils around the track.
The British here absolutely need to get the boat taken off here. They're just going sideways to the course here, but they actually cannot go outside the boundary more than a couple of boat lengths, otherwise they will be disqualified from the race. So they're going to have to take off and tack and keep the boat on the foils here in the next 15 seconds.
This is the race committee. We are moving the leeward gate, shortening the course to 1 nautical mile.
And they're down again. INEOS Britannia struggling in a pivotal day in the Louis Vuitton Cup. But let's take a look at what Alinghi are up to. They have the lead, but they're also on the edge as well. But the spike of adrenaline on the second upward leg might be enough, but they've got to sail clean.
Oh, and Alinghi Red Bull Racing there, a beautiful light air tack, just in a little more pressure right on the boundary, and keeping the boat on the foils. Big, powerful, deep sails there. And INEOS Britannia back up on the foils, but huge gain there to the Swiss. And they'll be looking to put their nose to the grindstone now and just grind it out and stay in front.
Anything can happen. We've seen it before in the history of the Cup, but also in the last couple of weeks. As we've said, no lead is big enough. And the Swiss may have half a kilometre, but that could disappear in an instant.
Looking like a little more pressure out this left-hand side of the course, so need to be over 26 knots roughly of boat speed. Have enough speed to execute the tack and stay on the foils here.
2, 1, up.
You can imagine fans of Alinghi Red Bull Racing simply holding their breath in conditions like this. They have the lead. If they hold the lead, they survive for another race. But there is so much racing still to come.
This race far from over, with this breeze struggling to fill in, so lots of puffs and lulls to deal with.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Lee. Having a look. Looks good in front at the moment to me.
It's all business on INEOS Britannia, just keeping it calm, looking for opportunities.
All the way.
They've seen this story before.
They will potentially tackle us.
You've got to be the Fonz on a day like today. You've got to be cool. Keep your blue head on, not going to the red zone. Anything can happen, you've got to keep sailing well.
Quite impressed actually with the onboard comms on Alinghi today. We can only imagine how much pressure these young sailors are feeling. Dan Saraphagas is keeping it cool.
3, 2, 1, fall going down. 30 here.
Oh, and the British coming off the foils in that manoeuvre again, so another big touchdown there in that manoeuvre. It's not what they'll be wanting. Alinghi Red Bull Racing still on the foils up to windward, and the British there really needing to keep the boat up if they can. Just having a look at a replay here, coming into the tack. Oh, and they've lost the rudder. They've got too high to drop the board, and they've actually spun the rudder too highly loaded on that rudder shaft with a big deep mainsail. and they've spun the back of the boat out.
And it's advantage Alinghi Red Bull Racing. We talked about luck in our pre-show. We sometimes need a little bit of luck, even though it's the America's Cup. And right now, Alinghi Red Bull Racing are making their own. They're handling the lighter conditions much better today.
And they're heading off to the left-hand side of the track. We saw way more pressure there on the last upwind, but this jibe is crucial.
Here they go. How important is this jibe?
Over 30 knots of boat speed, so they should be able to pull this off.
22 knots coming back.
Yeah, nice job keeping the boat above the minimum foiling speed.
Right here coming.
British there doing everything they can to build speed. They need to be over 26 knots ideally to have a chance of pulling this next tack off. And they have a huge deficit to make up.
Pressure
Towards the boundary now, expect to see a board down any second.
Board down. 2, 1, stage. Turning. Very well. 2, 1, go board. Not a negative flat.
Oh, down they go again.
GBR boundary penalty, advantage rule played, penalty cleared.
They'll need a bigger shovel than the one they've got at the moment, the British.
Next flat, Swiss. Good.
Onto the Alinghi Red Bull Racing chase boat with Petro Sabella. We talk about lifelines. Your team are making this lifeline. They're sailing beautifully in these conditions, Petro.
Yeah, this morning we said let's play until the end and without break ourselves, just keep pushing to the end, and the guys did an amazing job so far. You know, at the start with the OCS penalty was not easy. They cleared it in a great way and just kept patient during the race in this tough condition. You know, it's every corner is a fight to stay on the foil, and yeah, they are doing an amazing job.
Petro, you guys are always looking forward, very confident. But be honest with us, how much pressure has the sail team been feeling?
For sure, we are all under pressure, but it looks that the pressure works. So let's keep going like that. And also we see that when the others are under pressure, they also make mistakes. So we see how this race ends up, but let's keep going.
All right, you're going to keep those fingers crossed.
Thanks.
This is the race committee. We are shortening the course to 5 legs. The finish will be at the windward gate.
So what that means is that the Alinghi Red Bull Racing team are on their second to last leg and have one upwind leg to go to bag their first win in the Louis Vuitton Cup semi-finals and stay alive. Someone please cue the Bee Gees.
Big pressure move here for the Swiss, and they're just going to touch down here. So both teams now off the foils, and the next line of pressure, believe it or not, will come from up near where INEOS Britannia are. So this race is far from over, and INEOS Britannia, if they do get a line of pressure coming down, will get that first. So although they're low riding at the moment, the next big line of pressure will come from upwind. So as Shirley said, no lead is big enough in these marginal conditions at the moment.
It's very soft at the bottom third of the track. 5 knots, 6 knots. Going to be hard for the Swiss to get going.
It's very, very light everywhere across the course at the moment, and having a look at the wind field here, you'd almost sort of say if the British could just roll the boat around onto the other tack. They're going to have to tack at some stage anyway, but they just need to get into the pressure and get the boat on the foils.
Might have to go in. Not good at the minute.
Let's go on the water to chase zero. Peter, can you believe this?
Back and lay the gate, but
Oh, certainly in this place. And we're right alongside INEOS Britannia at the moment, and they're barely moving. They're just coasting along as they look for that breeze. I'm looking up towards the top mark, and certainly what you're seeing, I'm not necessarily seeing on the water. It still looks really soft between where INEOS Britannia are and that top mark gate. But, you know, it's the old adage, isn't it? What Alinghi needed was a condition change to have an opportunity, and they've jumped on that, and they, if they can just get up this last upwind leg, they'll get a point against INEOS Britannia, who are parked up.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing coming into the bottom mark for the final time. They've shortened it to a 5-leg race, and they are in displacement mode and going, can we keep this battle alive with INEOS Britannia? So they will just coast around the bottom mark, going from 30 knots to just under 8. Wow, how about this? The America's Cup continues to throw up something.
The Swiss certainly no strangers to sailing well in light air, Shirley, and there's definitely some absolute gurus behind the scene coming off the Swiss lake. So these guys definitely do an unbelievable job of keeping cool heads in drift-off conditions. And coming from the southern hemisphere, anything less than 10 knots seems light. These guys, the cyclors, will actually be enjoying having a spell at the moment, not needing to put really much power in. But I tell you what, when that breeze just kicks enough again to start foiling, they will be back straight on the limiter again.
I think you're right, Swiss are very comfortable sailing in not much wind, unlike us. They seem to be able to find just zephyrs of breeze that we couldn't even see.
Certainly going to want to make sure that they can hook into one, because the British sail into one, they will be down to the bottom quite quickly.
that does look amazing out to the right.
Should we throw another variable in?
French
Race time limit?
managed to get on the tow up.
So we've got around 20 minutes of race time left, otherwise they don't make it. It's start again.
188 to hit 190.
Yeah.
That would be cruel. That would be cruel for Alinghi Red Bull Racing.
Having missed out on an important race once upon a time with a time limit running out, we'll understand their feeling.
95 meters on the other one. It would so delayed, but I guess it will give us runway back the other way on that.
A bit of a right shift on the track, which will help the Swiss with the tack back.
They're still just getting displacement upwind.
Massive deep mainsail. I love that. Goes from one extreme to the other.
Around about 14% difference in depth, sometimes less, sometimes more in these light conditions, from fully flat to fully deep with these sails in light air. So just see how much power they're trying to generate to get going. And
so Alinghi Red Bull Racing complete the 3rd of 5 legs and coast out. Throw a rod out of those conditions right now. What must be going through the heads of both boats and the helms, and how do we get out of this? Time will start working against them.
Very long-sided port here.
INEOS Britannia, of course, 4 wins up. Be slightly more relaxed than the Swiss, who have to win this match to be any hope.
yep, the Swiss will be just hoping to be able to get to the finish line here to stay alive in this series. And it's a bit like watching Formula One cars with their pit limiters on at the moment, not allowed to do more than 50 kilometres an hour for them, and these guys are walking pace at the moment. So Mother Nature just flicking the switch and saying, I'm going to have a little rest for a minute.
Or maybe Mother Nature's saying, earn it.
Yeah, I think so.
Earn the win.
Nothing. Pressure's okay here, but it's not building. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think we try and stay in sort of a lowish mode and turning here.
Not a huge amount of options for either team at the moment.
Okay, mine.
And as they cross on the downwind eventually, the Swiss will actually then have the best opportunity to get the next puffer breeze coming through. So,
you know what this reminds me of? AC36 regatta in the match between Luna Rossa and Emirates Team New Zealand when they were both becalmed. It became a who could find the wind quickest.
remember that race well, Stephen.
Well, you got the Emirates Team New Zealand got the wind, found the wind quickest, and got out of jail on that one.
Yeah, with a famous J3 on, I think, as well too. Not even on a big jib, but that's all history now.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing not doing bad in displacement mode. 8-9 knots of boat speed. They'll be hoping that's enough to get them to the finish line in time.
Nice. Yeah. It's not pressure.
Let's go on the chase boat for INEOS Britannia coach Rob Wilson joining us. The America's Cup likes to throw up something, doesn't it? Coming off those fours and seeing the lead change. Oh, mate, what went through your mind then?
Yeah, it's a frustrating one for sure. Oh, I'm getting a bit of feedback. But yeah, after that right turn. Oh, hang on a minute. Can we turn the volume down on that? Yeah. After the right turn at the bottom, yeah, we had a real light by the boundary, and basically when we went for the tag, we just didn't have we couldn't build enough speed, so it ended up like just basically coming off the foil, and then we were straight back into a hole, going back into the middle of the course, and we couldn't tack back to the pressure on that left side because we'd have just been straight out boundary when we did get foiling. So. So it's a frustrating one, but it's the way it goes. So I think the best hope now is we get breeze coming in from behind and foil round and past them or time limit. But they're looking like they should make it at the moment.
We saw a shot of you on the chase boat when that moment happened. What was your initial reaction? Not today.
Yeah, no, like we've. They're probably going to get this one in the bag, and then we just got to prepare for the next one. That's for sure.
Oh well, as the saying goes, it's not over till it's over. Rob, we'll talk again.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Thank you.
It's surprisingly emotional on the coach boat, way more so than on the yacht.
So the one thing both teams now work against is that clock on the top left of your screen, however big it is, screen you're using, under 15.5 minutes for Alinghi Red Bull Racing to get to the finish line. Otherwise, no result, and they go again. My goodness.
Well, the British slowly building a little bit of pace. I mean, just to give you some reference, normally they do a downwind leg in 3 minutes 30. So if INEOS Britannia can get up, it could still be a race.
Yeah, the boats, once they're up on the foils in about 6.5 knots of wind speed, once you're actually up and foiling, you can transition into a lull of around 5 knots and stay foiling. So once you're actually up and you're at speed, you can actually transition through the lull, but you do need a little bit of extra horsepower to unstick the boat and actually get it to take off. So you only need one little puff to take off, and then you can potentially stay on the foils through some quite big lulls compared to your opponent. There just doesn't seem to be anything coming down at the moment.
Let's go to chase zero. Peter, love your thoughts on this one. Does Alinghi Red Bull Racing make it to the top in time?
By my estimation, I was doing some mental sums while you were talking. I think they do. She's doing 8 knots. It's pretty wide angles in terms of tacking angles, but I think at the moment, as long as they don't park up, they should get there. And I'm looking up towards the top mark. Although it's very, very light there, I'm not seeing any glassy spots, so I think they might just make it.
They are going to get there in time limit.
Dylan Fletcher confident that Alinghi are going to get there. Very soft all over the course. We're seeing 5 knots all over. No hope of flying.
Alinghi just needing to stay cool heads here.
Tell me when you want the ball.
And very, very tricky to tack these AC-75s in super light air. Got tiny, tiny little rudders trying to turn the train locomotive on the train tracks. Those big skegs and bustles underneath the hull do not like to be turned through the water. They're designed to separate the airflow off the bottom of the boat when it's in the air, and very, very sticky boats to sail in light air. Yep. Looking at the 2 boats now, this would have been a view of days gone by. I think Pete Lester has seen this movie quite a few times in the past. Lean on the elbows, and the best man in the job to talk about rigs, hulls, match racing and tactics. Back then there was a lot more navigating involved too, Shirley.
If you're slightly confused, INEOS Britannia is actually now going in the wrong direction. They're meant to be heading to the left of the screen and the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, they will be lining the Swiss up, and they will be forcing them to tack and try and stop them making the time limit, would be my guess.
A little over 12 months to go for Alinghi Red Bull Racing to hit the finish line at the top mark as they shorten the course by 1 leg. But Mother Nature is having a major say in this 5th battle between INEOS Britannia and Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Quite simply, Alinghi Red Bull Racing need this point, this win, to survive.
So the British here are going to line them up. They're a lap behind. Their only chance of stopping the Swiss is to line them up and force them to tack here.
Maybe something on the bow, but
Dylan Fletcher did say yesterday they will take no prisoners. They will do whatever it takes to get themselves in the Louis Vuitton Cup final. Even if it means they have a no result here and they have to go again.
Aaron, a jibe or not? Huh? Don't think. Have to be a bit careful with that. Yeah. But here, something going on here. Yeah.
So I thought the British team there would have potentially lined up the Swiss and basically just kept forcing them to keep tacking and try and run the clock out. But
a tiny bit more in 5.
looks like they've let them go. Easy to think that here sitting in the commentary booth, but they might have seen some pressure coming down and taking a different approach, surely.
It's a tricky move with the rules. Also, you're not allowed to interfere with the boat on another leg of the course unless you're sailing your proper course. So there's lots of
What is the proper course at the moment? What is the proper course?
There's lots of ifs and buts and all of that.
That is the question for the umpires. What is your proper course in 5 knots of breeze? And you could argue that any way you like, I reckon.
Right again there.
Be an interesting one to talk about later.
More breeze the other way. Let's tack over here. Okay.
Just enough of main canoe. Nice chip.
Under 10 minutes for Alinghi Red Bull Racing to try and get to the finish line.
So clearly the British team unable to get downwind and back upwind again, so their only chance really is for the clock to run out.
They'll be happy with that, won't they? They'll be comfortable with that when you've got a 4-0 lead. just let it expire.
Be no change to the standings, that being the case if the race does get abandoned due to the time limit running out. But the Swiss team will be doing everything they can to inch their way up to try and get that valuable point, keep their semi-final series alive.
Thanks, works more to have only one tag.
Stay up at this top end of the course and get some.
Bodybuilding ball. Right, pushing. Good, just focus on the IQ. 200 meters.
So, Pete, you suggested they might get up the top. You certainly changed your mind now about Alinghi Red Bull Racing hitting the finish inside the time.
It's looking pretty close. So we're right on the bow of Alinghi, and between them and us, and I just look about 100 metres up from where we are, there's a little bit more pressure on the water. I can see a cruising boat which is off the race course, and they've certainly got 2 or 3 more knots than what we've got. So I'm sure Alinghi Red Bull Racing are just hoping that wind will filter down to them, as they look like they might be rolling into attack, and certainly speed building post-attack is really difficult, but they need to get a wriggle on. They haven't got a hell of a lot of time left.
Well, unfortunately, not the most exciting racing we've seen here in Barcelona. But there's a point on the table, and a point's a point at the end of the day. So Alinghi Red Bull Racing there, just hoping to get something to get them through to that finish line.
Where we sit, that looks tantalisingly close, that finish line, for Alinghi Red Bull Racing, searching for the wind, searching for their first win to keep their hopes alive. What's interesting is the quiet nature of looking for wind. Normally, both these crews are pretty chatty, but now they've gone in.
I think perhaps the INEOS team need to be slightly careful. Are they intentionally blocking the wind of Alinghi Red Bull Racing, trying to slow them down? Potentially that is not allowed. You're not allowed to interfere with someone on another leg of the course.
100 coming up.
Yeah. They're just trying to
tack up. Okay, copy.
Sail their best possible race they can, and certainly not a lot of breeze anywhere at the moment. Pretty much only chance is just sailing at 90 degrees and hopefully breeze coming down the course to get going.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing got a bit of pace now, 9 knots.
They have, haven't they? Here we go. Here we go.
They are on the ley line for now, at least, for the finish.
Pete, are we seeing more wind?
That little bit of pressure that I was talking about is now filled in, and that's why Alinghi Red Bull Racing have got over 9 knots. We can just see a little bit of weight coming off the rudder. They're in displacement mode, but if this holds, I think they might just get there. They haven't got too far to go. What's that, about 200 metres?
Hold your breath. Hold your breath.
If you're an Alinghi Red Bull Racing fan, that is exactly what you're doing. This is going to come right down to the wire.
4 minutes and 44 seconds counting, and that's how close Alinghi Red Bull Racing are to keeping the semi-final alive. Get this point, there's still a long way to go. Another race today, they have to win. But how much will a win do to the confidence? I know confidence is one thing because you've got to sail the boats, but man, they will have deserved this one.
Great boat handling to just keep
have a look at what went wrong there.
The boat on the foils, and sometimes you need a little bit of luck, but you also need to sail the boat well as well. The Swiss team version 5 speeds here coming across the finish line, and they will get the point.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing are about to score their first point in the Louis Vuitton Cup semi-finals. Down 4-zip. It will now become 4-1, and the Swiss are still alive in Barcelona. Yeah, that's what it means. It's a huge win for them. They've maintained a positive eyes-forward approach through this whole regatta. My goodness, how good's this America's Cup?
We haven't seen many smiles from this lot, but that's thoroughly deserved. They sailed that race really well, and they live to fight another day.
Yep.